Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Season 1 of Gotham Knights. Now, as of the recording of this video, this show has been canceled, unfortunately. I feel very strongly that they should not have canceled this show. But, it's a mess over there at Warner Brothers Discovery, CW. They're kind of all over the place. But let's talk about this season one that we got. Just a quick synopsis. Bruce Wayne is murdered, and his adopted son, Turner, forges an alliance with the children of Batman's enemies. As the city becomes more dangerous, these mismatched fugitives will become its next generation of saviors, known as the Gotham Knights. I think that was the pitch for the show. I don't know that the synopsis really holds up. Other than Dwella, I don't know that. And even that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. So I don't know. I feel like that was a little bit of a misdirect. And we'll go over the characters. This show was created by Natalie Abrams, Chad Fiveash, and James Patrick Stoddard. So yeah, we got 13 episodes. They were spread out weekly with a few breaks in between. So we got about 15 or 16 weeks total of this show. And I will say, after watching episode 1, my original thoughts were just like, this show is not very good. The fighting's not very good. The acting, the performances are just not very good. But there was something there. There was something that had me entertained. So I stuck around, and every episode of this show, it just got better and better as you got to know the characters and you started to understand their motivations, and you learned you learned how charismatic these actors are. And then of course you have the super talented Misha Collins, and then people started getting on board with the show. It was a really fun progress. Like, I would look forward to seeing certain creators like talk about the show. Hopefully a lot of you guys watch my own YouTube short reviews for every episode. I did one for every episode except for the last one because I'm doing this as a long form video, so you can go check those out in the channel. But yeah, from the pilot, like, one of the things that really got me was how bad the Batman stuff looked. Like, his cowl, it was just so weirdly done. It felt like CW has done better shows. I don't think the pilot is very good. Like I said, I found something fun about it. But then we got into knowing the characters, and overall, like, they were fun. And I will say, out of the cast, the only person that I've known from previous stuff is Anna Laurie, who played Stephanie Brown, and Misha Collins, who plays Harvey Dent. So I was very excited to see them in this show and kind of, build out this world. And then just following their storylines led me to kind of be engrossed and just kind of become invested in the other characters. Some of them took a little longer than others. I think Turner Hayes was one that was hard to get into. Also, Carrie Kelly was a little bit hard to get into, just because there's a lot of baggage that comes from the comic books with this character. But they all really started to nail it. I think also the fighting got better. It got really CW in some ways, where there was like love triangles and a lot of romance stuff happening. But that was fun because that's kind of all the CW stuff that I'm really expecting throughout the shows. Um, the set kind of just felt more lived in as we got through the season as well. We went to some very interesting places. They started to introduce some really cool stuff. Like, this whole arc is about and this is not really a spoiler at this time. It's about fighting the Court of Owls, which is one of the coolest concepts from the comic books. Now, the challenge is, how are you going to play that without having Batman around? And I think the show, in a bit of a clunky way, got there. They were able to find out how to play with the Court of Owls without having Batman around. As they built up the team, the characters started finding their grooves. So let's go over the characters. I'll leave Turner Hayes to last because, like I said, he was the one that was the hardest to get into. And I'll start with Misha Collins. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Supernatural, so I wanted to support Misha Collins. He seems like a real cool person, and Harvey, filling in the shoes of Harvey Dent, like that's a pretty tall task. Um, Aaron Eckhart did a really good job in the Dark Knight with the character, and then also all the animated versions of Harvey Dent have been excellent. So it was a tall bar, but I think Misha Collins really made this character his own. He was part of what made Gotham really fun and entertaining. And as he kind of spiraled into the character of Harvey Dent, which we know from the comics to be Two Face, as all that stuff started to seep out of the character, you could see it through his performance, right? Things were happening. He would have times where he didn't know what was happening, actions that he didn't remember, like all those little details that they made that story really great. There was a few times where it would be, for the most part, actually, Misha Collins was acting on his own away from the kids from the Gotham Knights. Sometimes they'd have phone conversations and stuff like that, but for the most part, up until maybe the last few episodes, they were very separated. And I don't know if that was more of a scheduling thing or whatever the case may be, but it felt like it was we were watching two different shows that kind of started coming together because the threads were always there all along. It was just towards the end when we kind of finally tied the knot and everything kind of moved in together. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, Misha Collins all the way till the last unhinged episode. He was fantastic as Harvey Dent, as the darker version of Harvey Dent. As Two Face. Everything was great. Also, the other person that really got me invested in the show, like I mentioned, Anna Laurie, who I've seen in other stuff, and specifically more of like internet video stuff, not so much performances. Because I think she had been in other CW shows. She was in Doom Patrol in season one, but bringing Stephanie Brown, aka Spoiler, well, from the comics at least, into the show, she had probably the most dramatic arc. Her life really got turned upside down with all this stuff that happened, and she also had the most conflict at home, and it was probably one of the more emotional stories. And she played that really well. We also got to see some action sequences from her. I don't think she mentioned online that she hadn't really done a lot of fighting sequences and physical stuff like that in the past, which is really interesting. So yeah, that was really cool. Um, and then we get to some of the other characters. Probably my favorite by the end is Olivia Rose Keegan as Dwella. Man, that character was unhinged from the get go, and I think she had more of a reverse arc to mirror Stephanie's, where she gained stability and she found a family with the Gotham Knights, and I feel like that's what she was always looking for. Obviously, there's a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of baggage as being called Joker's daughter, which we also get some really interesting. Um, I don't want to. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a retcon that we get in this story. So there's a definitely a very different approach to the character, but the character was played really, really well. And she found the role. I also really liked all the stuff that happened with her and Turner, where Turner was kind of a misdirect that she would be the romantic entanglement with Turner would be Stephanie. But I like that the relationship was really just more of a platonic relationship as opposed to like a real romantic thing. So yeah, very interesting, great character. She probably had some of the best looks as well of the show. So really, really enjoyed her performance as well. Next we have Tyler DiChiara. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Who played Colin Rowe? One of the, I would say, Colin was kind of the heart of the Gotham Knights, and also, or maybe the conscience of the Gotham Knights, or probably both. So yeah, great performances. A lot of comedy comes from Cullen's character as well, going undercover, GCPD, but also always calling all the Gotham, like whenever somebody stepped out of line, Cullen's character would call him out on their shit. So that was really great to see. Like it was definitely a part that was needed for the show and the story. Now Fallon Smythe as Harper Rowe, who is Bluebird in the comics. I think in the first few episodes, it feels like she didn't have much to do as a character. I think Harper Rowe was like the tech person, but then also Stephanie comes in and she's also the tech person. But then, like I said, there's some misdirects with the romantic leads, and it really built very nicely. Also, Harper always looking out for her brother, so like just like all those things that they're bringing in from the comics that really work in the show, and they build up this world. And then we also have Navies Riley Robinson as Carrie Kelly, who really grew. Like I really grew to like the character. I always thought the look was very goofy with the big goggles. I think sometimes some of the costumes from the comics don't translate way well to live action. But she also had a very emotional, like she had probably one of the more normal lives, except for the fact that she was Robin, and she also had probably the biggest connection to Batman prior to the show. So, prior, as we were walking there, she also was a really cool fight with the mutants, one of the mutant leader, which is a great callback to the Dark Knight Returns. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed her arc as well. All the stuff with her mom, I think it brought a lot of conflict that really added tension throughout the season. And then last we have Oscar Morgan as Turner Hayes. He was probably the character that took me the longest to really like as a character. I felt like because he's kind of an original character for the show, I was not fully on board. There was not a connection from the comics. He also had one of the goofier looks at the beginning. Like he would always wear this little hat, and he would have his sword, and I just didn't like. It's just that look didn't click with me. But I mean, once again, because of just such a great performance from Morgan, like Turner Hayes became a character that I was rooting for actively by the end of the season. And I think they left his story arc in a really interesting place where we could have had a great season two. I think we would have had a great season two. Hopefully, Max or something picks up this series, because I think it would be fun to revisit this world. Um, I think all the other characters that kind of built out this world, including everyone that was a villain in the Court of Owls and all that stuff. I think they were great. They were just good performances. I will say the Court of Owls, like the Talons themselves, they also looked a little goofy. That's another one of the costumes that I think from the comics just it doesn't very well translate to the screen. Um, but all the stunt performers that were Talons, I think they were on point when it came to their action sequences. I think the fighting and the action was hit or miss. Sometimes it looked great, sometimes it looked very clunky. But I think that's what I've come to expect from a CW show. Uh, I think after the second or third season of Arrow, unfortunately, some of that stuff was in decline in some of the shows. Um, so yeah, I don't know what the change was, but I think for a show that was this action heavy, I think it was really fun. Also, the pacing of the season was just really good. There was a lot of release of pressure and tension, but then things would kind of build up again. We had some episodes that were more self-contained, but still pushed the bigger narrative forward. Yeah, I thought that was all very well done. A lot of great callbacks, a lot of really fun callouts to the comics, introductions, retcons of the stories, and then just a mystery overall throughout the whole season that led to what I think was a really, really fun payoff. And yeah, the last episode was great. I really enjoyed it. Very emotional. Everything comes together, but not everything ends, unfortunately, where we would want it to. And because we don't have a season two at this moment, uh, you know, hopefully, maybe we'll get a comic adaptation of this to kind of follow that storyline. I think that'd be fun. But I would love to see this show be picked up somewhere else on the internet, on the by one of the streaming services or something. So we'll see. Um, Probably not very likely. We still have the writer strike going on as of the recording of this video, which really puts a lot of stuff like this even further in the back burner. So, but if you enjoy the show, let me know down in the comments what was your favorite moment, what was some of your favorite characters, performances, all that stuff. And as always, First of all, thanks for following this season of Gotham Knights on the channel. And thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.